It's happy hour WBNL coaching style with Jan and Matt.
Woo! Let's do it today on the Wandering But Not Lost podcast.
And now your host, Jan O'Brien and Matt Emerson.
Well, welcome everyone to the WBNL Wandering But Not Lost podcast, where together we align, connect, and prosper. This is episode 319, and you can find all those show notes over at WBNLpodcast.com. Jan O'Brien, we've been talking about getting together for a happy hour. Goodness gracious, for a long old time. Matter of fact, a long time ago, and I don't know what episode this was, we did a little Wandering Zen part of it where we toured breweries out in Henderson. Henderson. And I think we even did a couple little tastings over in Summerlin or downtown.
Downtown Henderson. The Love Lady Brewing Company. But today, Matt, I'm going with a Oregon brewery. Okay, so they're out of Eugene. I am a traditional West Coast IPA person. I do not like the hazies as much. There's a couple hazies that I like. So I decided to try something that I haven't had, and I just got to start with the one I'm not going to be drinking, but I'll start. So
I love it.
This is West Coast Hop Valley Brewing Company, and I thought this was going to be. That's obviously a
artichoke.
No, it's a hop. It looks like an artichoke, but it's one of the whatever it is. It's like, I think it's a hop, but anyway, it's called Big Smile. And I thought it was like going to be a lemon flavored kind of thing. It's not. And I'm just going to read what this is and why it's called Big Smile.
I love it. So
the description of this basically is Big Smile is brewed with a simple malt platform to showcase the generous use of Citra. That's it. This is the Citra hop. That's what Citra hop. That's what I thought it was. A portion of the proceeds benefit the Cole Parker Randall Foundation, which is nice, but the alcohol content is 9.2%. So I'm not going with that one. But I am going to go with the Citrus Mistress.
Oh,
okay.
I like
the
it.
Citrus Mistress is Munich malt, 6 different hops, and grapefruit peel combined to create this IPA featuring a classic burnt orange color. I'm dying to see what it looks like.
Oh, that's cool.
With a bouquet of citrus, peach, and tropical fruits.
Okay, now here's the deal. It's kind of a bummer we're not doing this together, because I think I would be able to make a case if we were together that if we drank that Smile IPA, it would be fine, because really it would only be 4.6% each. So that's what I'm thinking. All right. Oh, that is kind of orange.
And this is, again, it's called Citrus Mistress. Love the description.
Okay,
there it is.
Before you take
it's in my Vegas Golden Knights Stanley Cup Champions pint glass.
Very good.
There. And Matt, what about you?
I am going to be starting today with a IPA from a local brewery. Jan has actually been to this brewery with us. It's Brewery X, who have only been around for not that long, and have exploded into the commercial world here in Southern California. They're at Angel Stadium. They're at Disneyland Resort. They're every place. It's very exciting to have a hometown kids do great. But when I was I found this at Bevmo. When I was at Bevmo, I found this perfect beer that I think they made for the WBNL podcast. It is called Wilderness Wanderer.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Wilderness Wanderer. There's the wanderer. He's not lost. He's just wandering. And you can see there it's brewed with Strata, Mosaic, and Nelson. What's this say? Nelson.
Oh my gosh, that could be our.
Okay. It's very cool. This is only a 6.5% alcohol level. I actually have tried this before, so it's not a surprise to me. It's quite delicious. It's West Coast IPA, because I totally concur with you with the IPA situation.
Not the sours. I don't like those.
Here's the deal. Hazy IPAs it used to be called East Coast IPAs. And when the West Coast IPAs got so popular, they had to change the name and give it something fancy to make it sound like it was something different. So I'm kind of mad at that because there are a couple of hazy IPAs I actually don't mind. They're actually okay.
Yeah.
Like,
some
for
of them
example,
I like, but some of them, it's just like a good IPA. Some of them are good and some of them aren't as good, right?
The Sierra Nevada hazy actually does not taste like an East Coast IPA to me. So not a fan of the East Coast. So me neither. Okay, so here is I have a Firestone glass actually here. So here, Jan O'Brien, chink chink to you. Where's the camera? Boop. There we go. All
right, let me go to taste.
Ding.
Really like that.
Oh,
I like when there's that fruit to it, but it's not overpowering.
Right.
Like I have to take one more little taste. Hold on.
Well, I better take that taste too.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. It's not overpowering. It's really nice. It's refreshing. So that one that's a 2 thumbs up for me on the Citrus Mistress, plus great packaging and a great name.
Yeah.
Big smile.
Yeah,
I don't know about that one.
I would say we both knocked it out of the parks with our IPA names because you really.
Well, I love yours, and that one is you can't get that here, so that's only in California right now. It's not in stores or anything. They don't have that distribution. Probably. What's it called again? Brewery X. Yeah, we've been there. I love it. That's a great outdoor place.
It's awesome, and it's crazy how many beers they produce. They do small batches of beers. Like when I went into Bevmo, because I had this quite a while ago, like it was even a couple months ago. I said, "Do you still have that Wilderness IPA or Wanderers IPA because it was really good?" And they had some in there, but it won't be around forever because they switch. And they also, it's really cool. I haven't had this, and it's not an IPA; it's a lager because they have a wide variety of beers there. They made a special beer for the Angels, so they have an Angels lager that they actually the can is cool. So the can is half of the battle, right? Even with wine, like wine labels are the coolest thing, right? So anyway,
well, very refreshing. Okay, so what? All right, so we got to talk about if you're watching this. We're doing this, recording this live, and then it will be dropped. But Matt, from my point of view, Matt's picture in his video and stuff is like so clear right now that I'm realizing that mine's not. And why is that, Matt? Why is your video feed so amazing? And what's happening right now? You seem to be moving.
Here's the deal. It's magic.
You broke it down.
Magic. So let me just back up for 1 second. I bought an iMac in November of 2015. And I have been using that iMac until yesterday. And, for anyone that has a computer knows that, there's an obsolescence on computers and it's not usually 9 years. Well, I have juiced every bit of life out of that iMac. And I thought, you know what? It's finally time to buy a new computer. Well, night and day, don't need to go into all those stories. Anyone that has had an older computer that runs very, very slowly and then gets a new computer is like, holy crap, what the hell has happened? I've literally gained 50% or doubled my efficiency. 100% more efficient than I will be.
But this is the eyesight or whatever Mac. I'm a Mac user too, and mine is about 10 years old as well right now. So, but Matt, I got to tell you, it is night and day how clear your video is. But you're not using like a plug-in camera. You're using what came with the new Mac.
This is the the camera in the computer. I wish I should have done this, and I'll find this for the show notes, as we say, if I remember to do that. But there was a setting that is on there as you're setting up your Macs, and it tells you, walks you through the whole little setup, stage. You want to turn this on. You want to do night mode because night mode is the new thing on everything, right? So you can actually. So I did that. I'm like, well, yeah, I'd love to save my eyesight in the evening. So from sunset to sunrise, everything on my computer is now night mode, which is automatically, and it even changes the glare and the kind of the palette, the color tone of your computer once sunset comes in. So it's really kind of cool. So it does that automatically. But there was this feature on the camera that said, do you want the camera to try to center you in the frame?
Please. Yes, please.
And I said, sure. try that. So I was playing around with it a little bit before we got on the podcast, but now that we're in the studio here, it has been like very distracting for me because I just move like a little bit and it'll always be trying to refocus me. Like, here, let me get up and do an example.
Yeah. So Matt is actually standing up. What? And it's zooming in to catch you.
It does this great zoom thing, right? So
wow.
Here, see, it moves. Let me move over here.
Oh my gosh, I love it. You could be like showing us things that are on your bookcase right now.
Exactly. Anyway, so now I just sat down and now it's finding me again. So
yeah, and it didn't blur. It's amazing. That feature alone is making me want to run out and go get one of these and update my computer.
So, when you get a new computer, you find little things out all the time. I'm just out of my mind, excited about this new baby that I have here. And so, check back in 9 years because I'll probably still have it.
This is the first video. This is the first podcast we're doing with that new setup, which now I can't wait to see the output because if it's going to be night and day the way StreamYard, which is the software that we use to capture our podcasts for audio and video, if it's really different, then that's going to be a hands down, got to have it kind of thing because that has been the issue, right? I'm telling you, I can't even hardly tell you because a lot of times in the past when we get on the podcast, there'll be like Matt's fading out a little bit but it really has to do with the processor speed, I guess. Well, obviously the quality of the camera. This whole feature of it following you around is really quite brilliant. It's going to help us with so much because you could be recording some of the shorts and stuff. So let's talk a little bit about where WBNL coaching is headed with what we want to do in 2025 and the direction that we want to take because this feature right here is cool for you to be able to. I mean, could you use your desktop Mac to be able to create the shorts that you want to be able to do as well so that the right way, because what would you do to do that? You could use this great camera setup and audio and everything, but do you have to film it in like Camtasia or something? Or how do you get the right?
Well, that's the thing about this feature. It works obviously in any platform, right? So I actually was in Camtasia yesterday and I did a short that actually I ended up going outside and getting in my car and driving around and doing it. So, but yeah, the camera does the same thing if you're doing it from your desktop as well. So, it's just kind of great. What's great about it is it takes the worry out about worrying about where you are in the frame, right? Because it just takes care of it. I don't know. It's awesome. There's editing. It's almost like it's doing jump shots in a way. It's weird.
It's very cool. Did you go to the Apple Store or did you go somewhere else to get it?
You know what? Here's the thing. I'm going to tell you a little story about that one. I love the Apple Store to window shop. I am not a fan of purchasing things at the Apple Store, and here's why. I always feel, I don't know, I just feel weird when there. I feel like I don't have the right questions to ask all the time, and I feel a little bit pressured when I'm there. And I don't know. Do you ever feel that way?
No.
I don't know why I felt that way. So the other day I thought, I really need to get a new computer. My wife and we'll go down there and make a thing out of it over this weekend and blah, blah, blah. I thought, why do I need to do that? I know exactly what I'm looking for. It's not like I
went online and got it?
Yeah. So I went online and be like, boop, 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 boop. It's like, what color do you want? Because, the new iMacs are colors, like the old box.
What'd you get?
Were they called the iMac Egg? Weren't there, or the Apple Egg or whatever? They all were like blue and green. And so the colors are very reminiscent of that. It's almost a little retro. So I think you have a choice of green and blue and yellow and orange. And then there's
as far as the stand, when you say color,
like it's the stand, and then the little bar across the bottom of the iMac has got a color.
Okay.
And then everything you have is that same color. For example, so I went through a big process because blue's my favorite color. And I thought, I don't think that'll work in my office here. This office is more woodsy and wandering, so I chose green as my color. So anyway, but you can't really tell the color because it's very light. But even your keypad is the same color. The back of your mouse is the same color.
Wow, I see that. Okay, hold that up again because that does show that kind of nice green. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's a subtle green, and this green actually reminds me of, this is going to be very obscure, but I'm a wanderer and I loved going, like, if you ever been to like either Hoover Dam or Davis Dam or any of those old 1940s kind of structures that were kind of civilian kind of places, they have there's a color that they use in their tile work that wasn't really an aqua and it wasn't really a green, but it's this little middle of the road. I don't know. It's really very pretty. I love it. So that's why I chose that, because I liked the green kind of being wildernessy and outdoorsy, but also because it reminded me of just cool art.
Is there like a purple shade?
We're going to have to go online and check it out. I don't know if there was purple or not.
So blue or green?
It's kind of more basics, but they're all very pastel-y. When I mentioned to my wife about, because I bought this on my own, and boy, that's dangerous, to go out and just buy a computer.
And it was just delivered? You basically just had it delivered?
They said it was supposed to be up to 2 weeks. It was delivered in 8 days. It arrived, and I am just as happy as a clam because it was an easy process. I like I said, I knew what I was. It's not like I was going to go to the Apple store and ask a bunch of questions. I knew exactly what I wanted. There's not. Honestly, with desktops anymore, there's not that many options because that's not what people are really using anymore.
Almost 10 years later. So is it? It was already amazing to me that the iMac that we both have was already so basic, right? It's like it doesn't have a CPU. It's plug and play, and it's on the stand, and it can move the deal. But you're saying, you told me it was thinner. It's lighter, thinner.
I can't show you, but you know what? It is no thicker than your freaking phone. That's how thin this thing is. Wow. Now compare that. Now that the older iMac, and this screen, the largest screen here was 24 inches. So it's a little bit smaller because our iMacs that we had before were 27. So it's a little bit smaller of a screen. But honestly, when you have your big behemoth off your desk, it doesn't look like, it still looks like you have a nice size screen. So anyway, I'm happy as clam. So glad I did it.
You're motivating me because I know we're going to see a difference. Yeah, and I also,
editing.
There's 2 year-end purchases maybe. It's the get an updated iMac because I do everything on it. And then I'm going to get the new iPhone because of the camera quality as well. And I skipped the 15, so I have a 14 Pro, but I've been looking at that 16, and I think I might bite the bullet on that one.
We still have 13s, and they've been great, and I love the camera. And I'm not doing as much photography as I used to do, so which is really one of the reasons why, of course, now the cameras are they get better and better and better, right?
Sure.
So, I probably will do that too before the end of the year.
Well, mainly because of what we do, and we do so much video content in WBNL and in my real estate side as well, that becomes the tool that you need to use. It's worth the expense and the business write-off, and I could definitely use a business write-off this year.
So Jen O'Brien has been trying to get me to do videos forever, like get out and just do some videos, and I him and hawed about it. So yesterday I did one, and it was called Gratitude on the Go. So if you haven't seen that, go check it out on our YouTube channel. I'll put the link in the thing. It's like a 45-second video, right?
It's great.
So we'll get into this conversation in just a minute, but I had my assistant Alfred and we worked on it together. We'll talk about that in a little bit. So I got to get a little script going there. And I got out in my car. Now, since I really have not been doing a lot of this personal video, I don't have all the equipment that I need to have. So here I am in my car, which, you probably shouldn't be driving around your car doing videos. You probably shouldn't. You definitely shouldn't.
I was going to say, but I knew where you were, but I was that's going to get flagged. You're in a car and you are driving in your neighborhood. I knew because the car's moving around. Yeah. And I texted him, I'm like, were you on a roller coaster or something? And you're looking at the camera. I'm like, if you're going to do it in the car, everybody, this is a public safety announcement. Pull the car over. It's cool to do videos in your car, but don't be driving.
Here's the deal. I was literally going less than 1 mile an hour.
In your neighborhood.
In my complex where there are no cars. So there was zero chance of anything.
I don't want to see the whole thing will be like, this video has been banned because you're driving while you're recording.
No, I already told Laura, I said, we're probably going to get a ticket from the police on this because they're probably watching, and I was driving with my phone. And I said, but you know what? Here's the deal. I will fight that, and I will make a whole video expose out of it, and we'll get all kinds of followers, and it'll be really great. So anyway,
don't do this at home, folks.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
But honestly, you needed to be in your vehicle because, without giving away the plot of that short video, it's about gratitude in traffic. So I love it.
That's right. So wait, where I was going with that is, since I have no equipment, this is what I was using in the car. I have this really, really old tripod that probably, I know how old this is. This tripod is 40 years old.
Wow.
Because it came with my, I used to have a Super 8 camera, and this was the tripod for my Super 8 camera. So I've had this since I was a teenager.
Oh my God.
So there's that tripod. This little doohickey, that you can put your phone on.
It's a little extra buy, an Amazon buy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's screwed on here. And this was my gimbal. This was my gimbal.
Okay.
Not really a gimbal because it didn't really do anything. But yeah, so this was my big mechanism. So here's the deal.
If you're going to film in the car, you can get these things that you just pop into. That's what I have. I have a thing that you can put the phone in that goes into the vents of your air thing or whatever. And
yeah. For you. So here's the tip for this, people, is, and we talk about this all the time, get over your old self and how you look, so because you look like you look, right? And boy, I was sometimes filming where there was a lot of neck going on. And then, I'm just saying, but also just do it, because I had a blast actually. And I was, is it the greatest video? No, it's not the greatest video, but I had fun doing it. And it was not
great.
Here's the deal. It got me over a hump I really needed to get over.
All right.
Really
besides how good you are at doing all that, what really is this is what we're going to talk a little bit about today for the rest of our podcast, is the power of having a real powerful assistant. Yeah. And because that is making it so much more fun and creative and easy, right?
Absolutely.
And what we're talking about here, folks, is using, in our cases, ChatGPT.
Yeah.
Now, let me start with my little story, and then we got to dive down the rabbit hole about why your chat is called Alfred. So I am really, really, really enjoying the power of AI. And AI is in everything that is everything. Honestly, we have it in MailChimp, email stuff. It's in everything, right? And it just helps you maybe speed up tasks. There's so much that you can do with it. When it came out last year, I jumped on board. And I really didn't know what I was doing. And that's how I always learn anyway, right, Matt? I like to jump in. I've been taking some classes on it, been over at Udemy and learning how to do it. Just that's how I do. And then I get in and play with it. And I realized the big lesson I got over the last year is, first of all, it's continually developing and it's getting smarter and better and it can do so much more. And it's enhanced because millions of people are using it. So it's about all the data going in and the improvements and whatnot. But I really started from the beginning believing, and we've talked about it on some of our podcasts, that this is treat it like you would want to be treated, golden rule sort of stuff. And I see it as a collaborator. I always have, and I wasn't getting the great output because I was too general in the beginning. And over time now, I've learned about how to write the prompts and how to teach it to understand what you do, what I do, what is my goal, and learn. And it's crazy because it's become more conversational. But the other day, a couple weeks ago, sat down and I'm like, because I'm working on these projects for WBNL coaching, some things that we'll kind of hint at today about what we're going to be doing in 2025. And it's powerful to be able to do things like in my everyday stuff, it's helping me write scripts and for short videos and, articles for my newsletter, which I don't even know why all these last months I haven't been asking ChatGPT to help me with my newsletter content. The last 2 emails I sent out, I was like completely getting all the information about things to do in Las Vegas for my newsletter from ChatGPT. So I'm sitting there working with it, and I always say, I use, what's the word I'm trying to say? Like, thank you, and every day, I'll say, please, can you help me do this? I want to collaborate with you. So I've been getting even more like that. But the other day I was like,
make a conversation. It's a conversational.
Yeah. But like you're really talking to, an assistant, it's so much faster and so much easier to train than a human assistant. So I asked it, what, do you have a name? Is there a name that I can use for you? And the response was hilarious. It was like, well, thanks for asking. What a thoughtful question. Some people call me Chatty. Some people call me GPT. Is there a name that resonates with you? I'll be happy to use that name. And so I thought about it, and I went back and I introduced myself as Jano. I have people, my nephew calls me Jano, and my brother calls me Jano, and other people call me Jano. And I just like that. So I'm like, I'm going to call you Geo. I'm Jano. I'd like to call you Geo. And it came back with this really amazing response like, okay, I love that name. It means, to me, it's, it basically didn't say me, but it just basically said, that's a blah, blah, blah sort of name. All right, Jano, from this point forward, I'm Geo. And now all I do is go in and I'll say, hey, Geo, I want to work on this project today with you, blah, blah, blah. It's like, hey, Jano, I'd love to work on that project with you. Here's some ideas for what and that it's all about the prompt that you put in. So anyway, my ChatGPT is called Geo. I told the story to Matt. And what did you do?
Well, yeah, I already had focused on the fact that my Siri on my phone, which I rarely use because I just speak with gobbledygook and
I don't use it either for that reason.
Anyway, I changed his voice the Siri voice to that English kind of butlery sounding guy because I am a huge Batman fan and I wanted my phone to be Alfred. So I've just carried that right into ChatGPT and he was very happy to be called Alfred and went into the whole thing about how he'd be happy to help, not fight crime, but to be there to Batman.
Yeah, it was very pithy. It was like he went, something like, what's Batman's alter ego name?
Bruce. Oh, yeah, that's
Bruce.
right.
Bruce. I mean, Matt.
Yeah,
it was really funny.
Yeah, it was really actually there was humor in it. And it was so awesome. So yeah, and so I've been playing with that. After we've gone through that thing, and I got over that whole excitement about having Alfred, like someone I could actually call Alfred. It's pretty cool. And he and I have been working really well together over the last month or so.
And what ways is Alfred collaborating with you? Like, what do you do for like in our day-to-day WBNL coaching, just so we can start like continuing to share how powerful this is to really shorten up the things that you need to do when you're writing or doing any kind of project. Yeah.
Well, I think the whole thing is just so important and is all about the prompt, right? But I think that the thing with ChatGPT, or even getting back to what we were talking about videos, you just have to freaking just let your guards down, trust the process, and then start doing it. Because I mean, you can have a lot of ideas of what you feel about AI in the big picture and where it's going to go and all that kind of stuff. But here's the thing: is it going to go whether you're going to jump on the board or not? And Jan and I talked about
already gone. It's left the city.
Yeah, and it's already right. So you can either be involved and help create the conversation, or learn and see how it's going to help benefit you, or not. I mean, but it's not something to be afraid of. So I think at first, I was really so concerned about, I don't want to be like this plagiarism, and I don't want it not to sound like my voice and all this kind of stuff. But when you treat it as a collaborator, you can add your own. It really just helps boost you along. I mean, it really helps your efficiency. I do almost every email I write for our WBNL group has Alfred's hand in it. And it's not that Alfred is writing the whole text and not doing, it's not taking place of me, because I would never want that to happen. Because when I'm writing an email, or if I'm doing something, I want it to be what I want it to say. But as you get into AI and you start doing those prompts, and the more descriptive you are, obviously, in your prompt, and Jan will talk about this more, the better response you're going to get, and the more it gets to know you. And it is so much fun to get in there with Alfred and say, hey, let's collaborate about, as a matter of fact, just today I did something. Let's brainstorm. I actually said to Alfred, let's brainstorm this idea. This is my goal. And then I went in very short amount of sentences, but still I was mindful of what I was asking Alfred to do, so I would get the best output. And it was just an amazing experience. So I actually ended up writing 30, not full 30 scripts, but 30 concepts for short videos, like in less than an hour.
Around the prompt that you put in about what your goal was and what the topic and what you wanted to generally do. That's
just an example from today. You know what I mean? It's an amazing thing if you treat it with respect.
I'm like, thank you, or that's awesome. Or I'll go in and say, that's great, but can we tweak this part right here? And could you add this and add that? And it's amazing. It'll go back in. And now there's inside of ChatGPT, it's more of like a board. It's almost like a working whiteboard, if you will. I forget what the word is that they're using. Canvas, I think it's called. Yep, where you go in and you literally, right before your eyes, it will take what it's written, like an article or a blog post or whatever, and it will go rewrite it. And here's the new version of it. And then it will say, Geo will be, all right, how's this? Let me know if you want to make any other tweaks to it. And I love that. Here's an example of what I did just to get fresh on in my newsletter every month. There's my lender's information, and it's Mortgage Corner. And I kind of went into Geo because I used it last month. And I said, Geo, it's time to do the newsletter again. I'd like to collaborate with you on some ideas for the mortgage loan portion of the newsletter. Right. Can you give me some ideas of some topics that we could write a short article on? And it gave me like these 10 things that were really good ones. And I picked one, which was on, it's always creative titles too, like points, loan discount points. What are they and should you pay for them? It was that. And I'm like, great, and it had a synopsis of, that's what I asked it for. What I asked them for the titles and a little bit about it. And then I'm like, I like this one. So I just grab it, go pack it back into the chat and say, I like this one. Can you please expand on this with, for a short article for the newsletter? But I had already set up the parameters, right? Comes back pretty perfect. But then I realized the article is not talking about seller paying the points. And I really wanted to drive that home. If a builder or a seller pays for your points, it had the things in there about, it makes sense to do the math and figure out, is it worth paying for the points? It depends on how long you're going to be in the house, the difference in the payment, etc. And it had great examples of that in there. It was brilliant. But then it added what I wanted. And I'm like, perfect. Now I have a perfect thing. I tweaked a few things and boom. Now I literally don't have to go on. That's the whole point of this, right? I used to go online, do my research to try to spend way too much time trying to figure out what I'm going to do for the newsletter, for example. And now I can do it in 1/3 the time.
I know. It's huge time.
I asked it. I keep saying it. It's Geo. I asked Geo. I'm not sure if it's a he, she, they, them. I sometimes say they, right? So I asked, or it. I don't want to call it it because it's like, to me, it's like, whatever. It's my collaborator. And I literally asked Geo, can you put together fun things to do in the Las Vegas area for the month of December? And it came back with all these things that I would have had to have gone. And then I said, can you add... This is great, but can you put the hyperlinks in for the places? And it went back in 10 seconds. It had more info, to click for the newsletter. And it had the actual, which would have taken me 30 to 45 minutes to go find all those links for like the FLM holiday thing and the display they always do down at the Bellagio Conservatory. All those cool things were in there, place to go see lights and all that. It was super fun. So honestly, Matt, it was so cool. Right?
I look back on some of the blog posts I used to do on the One Room Not Lost website. I used to do something every year in the summertime, like list all the state fairs and all the stuff that was going on in there and where you could see all the fireworks in different areas. It would be done in 2 seconds. And here's the thing. It's not cheating. It's saving you time because all you would be doing is going and looking for all that stuff anyway.
Your assistant is going and getting the information and bringing it back in from all the data that it has now.
It's already out there. It's like your super Google. Right. Yeah. So another thing I use Alfred for every week is the podcast. So after we do the podcast and I'm getting ready to work on the show notes, we usually have our show notes already done. We've already done them, sometimes with the help of our assistants, but we have them done. So what I will every week I do is I take it into ChatGPT, talk to Alfred and say, Alfred, here is the script from our podcast. Please give me a short description and some eye-catching SEO-driven hashtags, and it's maybe some other things that I'm looking for, right?
And a title for your email.
Titles, of course. Mm-hmm. Or I always ask, like, give me 2 or 3 titles, or you know what I mean. So there's options, and then and usually what I do, honestly, they're all awesome. Usually, but I usually kind of mix and match, and then I will serve it back and say, hey, I decided to go with this. What do you think about that? Well, that's great, but why don't we literally sometimes...
Are you kidding me?
No, that's good. Here's a couple more.
It's like having your editor, like working with a real editor that is live really, time, but very, very quickly getting things done and making it really powerful and efficient.
Okay, I have another story about Alfred. But there's a side story to this first. So let me do the side story first. Last week, I got this, was it a text or an email? It was an email. No, it was a phone call from, how you get those phone calls and you don't know what they're from. And this was a number I had never heard of. This number was from Kentucky. I had no idea what this was. And the way that the text came through, there was a link in the text. That's right. It wasn't a phone call. It was a text because there was a link in the text with the phone number. And how they were highlighted as a link. And I'm like, well, I'm not calling that back. That's the weirdest thing ever. So, and it just didn't make any sense to me. So anyway, I looked at it quickly like I always do. And I put my phone down. And a couple hours later, I went to it and I was reading the text. Let's see if I can find it. No, I don't need to do that. That'll waste time. But,
Alfred, could you find that text?
Yeah, I know exactly. So here's the thing. So I read it a little closer and I thought, oh my God, this is a text from somebody about a post that I had posted on Wandering But Not Lost during COVID in 2020. And as I read kind of into it, it was a little bit cryptic, but it was like, can you please give me a call? I'm the owner of the Wigwam Village in Kentucky.
Oh, wow.
I've done an article on, blah, blah, blah. Please, here's my phone number. Call me back. I thought, well, this is out of the blue. 4 years later, I get a call from someone, So I called him back. And he's like, hey, I just want to let you know, thank you so much for promoting our motel. We love that. Our website has changed. Can you change the link in your...
Wow.
Right. So first of all, I was like blown away. I'm like, oh my God, someone is actually, what? How do you, what do you find? So I said, well, excuse me, do you mind if I ask you how you, well, first of all, there's a backstory to it. Well, I don't want to get into the wigwam. Well, see what happens when you start having just a little bit of beer. Craziness. All over the place.
We'll go back to doing some wandering Zen in our future podcast and talk about fun places to go visit.
This is like drunk history. Anyway, the Wigwam hotels, villages were built by this guy named Redmond. Anyway, they were like teepees and they're motel rooms. And there were like 7 of them across. This is a quick synopsis. 7 of them across America. Now there's only 3 that are still working. Anyway, this was the owner. They bought it in 2020, like right around the time that I had actually written that article.
And then COVID happens.
Yeah. And we talked about, I talked to this guy for like 20 minutes on the phone. It was awesome. So anyway,
you got a new friend.
Yeah.
And free time.
Well, yeah, I know.
I have a free teepee stay.
So my wife and I have been talking about coming to Kentucky. So anyway, that's
awesome.
So anyway, it was just kind of cool that they read it. So anyway, so they're teepee places, and I wrote about it. So I asked him. So you asked, how did you find out about the article? He said, well, the local county website posted your article last month. I'm like,
wow.
Wait, what? Yeah, I forgot the name of the county now. Some county in Kentucky. Blah blah blah. If you're in our county, read this post and learn all about the Wigwam Hotel. Right? Is that the coolest thing,
Matt? I'm just telling you. You're talking about motivation and how you can use Alfred to get back to some of this and posting some really brilliant articles.
Wait, there's an Alfred component to this, which is really cool. So I'm sorry it's taking so much time. This is going to be like a 9-hour podcast. Right?
No, it's not. Go ahead. It's all right. We're just talking about. We wanted to talk about AI and how powerful our systems are. So anyway,
it was first of all really cool that something. So here's the deal, people. Also, never give up on what you're doing, because who knows when things are going to get reappear and come back.
That's a sign.
Right?
It's a sign.
I'm telling you, I have been so motivated this week. It's not even funny. It's not even funny. So, and I asked him, I said, well, I went to his website just to get the new link. Right. And then before I called him back, I did a little research, I looked, and they have a great website, great history on this stuff, way better than the blog post that I did. Mine was very generic, and it was talking about all 7 of these places. This was just about his place. Right. Wow. So I thought to myself, why on earth did the county of whatever, post my site and didn't go to the actual source of the freaking wigwam? It was because they had so much better information. But anyway, neither here nor there. So anyway, after it was done, I told my site I'd be more than happy to set up the change the link. First of all, that's great. I'll do that. I'll repost it so it shows up as something new on the website. And if you have anything else you want to send it over. I'd be more than happy to add that. Look what that camera's doing. It's so cool.
I know.
It's kind of weird. It's trying to figure it out. Anyway, see, I'm very distracted. So anyway, so I So then I thought, as I was I went back into the webpage. I'm like, oh, I found a couple of typos. You don't have to worry about that kind of stuff anymore as much as you used to back when I did that.
Well, Alfred wouldn't let you misspell anything.
But wait, here's the deal. So I thought to myself, you know what? I'm going to copy this whole blog post and I'm going to put it in Chat GPT. Oh boy. Chat GPT. I'm going to put it with Alfred so Alfred can give it a little new life. Right? Or just see what would happen. I put it in there and I swear to God, it was so funny. I said, here's a blog post that I gave it the prompt, pretty detailed, like I always do. I'm just looking for maybe not a whole lot of new information, but just what do you think about the form, blah, blah. I gave it more of a generic, like,
make this better.
Make it better. He literally came back and said, this is great. This blog post is great. Here's a couple edits that I would make. And I mean, they were minor little things, right? So I made a few little changes. I mean, I didn't if I would have gone in and said, give me more information about the wigwams or give me, I really just asked him to basically edit my post, basically. You know what I mean? With maybe a little more flair, but he didn't really change too much, which actually made me feel good for one thing.
Well, you're a great writer.
Well, thank you for that. But it was a cool exercise to do because it made a couple little subtle changes that I really, really liked. And honestly, I would probably make today that I didn't make 4 years ago if I would have been able to do it myself, but it only took me 2 minutes to do it instead of 25 or 3 hours.
Right.
You know what I mean? It was another use of the platform, just to kind of go in and give things a refresh.
Well, so now I'm interested in that particular post. This one place was among other places. Like, what was the title of the post that this one place was part of the whole? You
mean the post on the county website?
Yeah. I mean, did it go to your article?
It was in the section of the county websites, like places to stay. It was just the places to stay area.
Places to stay, but inside your Wandering but Not Lost post, you had multiple places to stay. They weren't all in Kentucky, right?
Oh, yeah, right. Exactly.
Okay, but they still linked your whole post, right?
They didn't. It was weird. They didn't just link my whole post. They actually copied my whole entire post and put it on their website with a link to source. So, I mean, here's the deal. Yeah. But Jan, the traffic on my website went way up.
Of course.
It's crazy. It's like, what the hell is happening? It was very cool. It felt very...
but remember the day before Alfred and Geo, to write that stuff, you had to sit down. You're better at it, but it takes me a lot to kind of like really get the way I write is more like the way I might speak, not for an article, but it would take way hours and it's cumbersome and tedious. But now you can have your outline and then go in and collaborate and get great content that is, especially if you prompt it for, this is the tone I want, this is the education level that I want it to be in, and this is the purpose of it. And you got to give it all those prompts so that you get the best response. And it depends if you're on social media, if you're posting it on your website or whatever. It needs to be readable, but it's powerful. It makes you want to go work on this. This is what we're trying to help you get across to you today is... when you embrace it, we've been talking about it since last year. I mean, ChatGPT came open source, to the public in like March or May of last year. And I kind of got on board right away. And then I didn't really understand it enough until months in. And then I just did what I think everybody did, gave it very generic and I got very generic back. Then I didn't realize the power of it until, recently in the last maybe 3 or 4 months. And honestly, the enhancements that are coming out. I'll tell you what I'm working on now for WBNL coaching and what, we're working on this Align, Connect, Prosper course, and it's going to cover a lot of mindset and best practices. And we talk a lot about that on the podcast, but we're going to really dive into it in 2025. And I've been working with this manifestation manual, this Chat GPT for the soul sort of approach. And I'm doing it for myself as I finish out the year. And I came across a couple things on social media about using Chat GPT as your life coach, which I thought was so amazing. And I want to make it better than some of the prompts and stuff I've seen. And so I'm working on that right now where you could do your, basically work with your assistant, your AI assistant, to help you create really powerful goals and what your game plan is, and have it do some creative things. So one of the fun things that's out there right now on a lot of the social platforms is using ChatGPT to create a story of your perfect life. But you have to give it all the information, which makes you go through the process of answering the questions and giving it the detail of what is your perfect future self look like? Where do you live? What is it that you do? You give it all this information and it comes back with a 5-minute, you give it a 5-minute story, like a novel with you as the main character. You get up and this is what your day looks like, and this is the job that you have, or these are the things that you're doing and giving back. Now you can do so much with that. You can record it and listen to it like a visualization, like you can take it and then go in and say to ChatGPT, now here's all the goals, here's this perfect life, but help create a plan for me that is going to give me what I need to do daily, weekly, monthly to get to that goal. And that's the kind of stuff you can use your AI assistant for. Now give me, affirmations that I can do in my daily routine. And so I'm working with that right now. The coolest thing that I did recently, and I haven't done any of this work yet in mine where I put all that prompt and stuff in. I've just been playing with some scripts and some prompts, but I saw somebody do this on a video, a short video, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going into my ChatGPT right now and ask a Geo to draw a picture. And here's all I said: based on what you know about me right now, draw a picture of my life. And it was wild what it came back with. And I hadn't given it the prompts yet of the perfect dream life. So you talk about taking visualization to the next level. How about getting your AI assistant here to draw the picture based on the input that you want, that you can then do something with if you're a visual person like I am. So I hadn't even done that detail work yet, Matt. And it came back with, I sent the picture to you because I'm always in here with some stuff on spirituality and coaching and life coaching, real estate, my scripts, all the things that I'm using it for. Talking, and what I have told it what I already am, like, here's what it is I do, act as if you are a marketing coach and help me with this project, right? So it came back, and here's the wildest thing. This right here is called the blue mic. The blue mic.
Yeah.
And this exact picture, except the silver version, was in my image, my picture. My thing. So it knows I'm doing the podcast. It had bracelets that I make and all these other things that I've been asking for some help with. It had all these little pieces in this beautiful depiction, including DALL-E 3 is the name of the image thing that it has inside of ChatGPT. It drew in 10 seconds images of all these things that I have been getting help with, including my podcast mic. Cool. Literally the exact mic. Now, I've never asked it about that. I just think it can see it through the camera, which is a little bit wild. And then here is the craziest part of this story for me is I had been on our podcast, and I have ChatGPT up a lot, and I think it's just taking in all the information. And I was talking about, in a gratitude thing we did, about my car, right? My perfect car. And I don't remember if I talked about this on the podcast, but I have been thinking about the kind of car that I want to drive. And it's not what I'm currently driving. I'm very grateful that it's paid off and it gets me where I'm going. But it was more, I want to get back to an SUV. So in my dream life picture, my current life picture, not my dream life yet, there was a SUV in
Brian, there it is.
Right. It's crazy. And there's the gratitude, and there's planets. There's all these things in here that mean a lot of things to me. And there's a person meditating, and then there's I didn't actually ask permission. Can I push her? Oh yeah, totally. And then so the one thing that the drawing feature inside of ChatGPT has not mastered yet, it's gotten better, is sometimes words are misspelled. So there's a Las Vegas sign. He knows I'm here in Las Vegas, but that's a real estate office, I would imagine, over there. But it's not spelled properly, real estate. But there's my little laptop, and then there's another little desk. It's crazy. It's almost like I'm inside of my room that I share my bedroom with my home office, and down this little tunnel down there is a better setup of an office.
It's so cool.
It was freaking me out because I was like, how does Geo know I want to drive a new SUV? And it was white, which is interesting because I wouldn't get a black car again. But I've been looking but I haven't been on. Here's the thing. I know that if I go do a search, okay, it can tell that I've been using the search, right? Just like predictive marketing and so forth. If you basically do a search because they put pixels and stuff on the website for whatever, like I was looking at Subarus, okay, and I wanted to look at, but I didn't do it online here. I did do it on my phone, however. I did not do it on this desktop, but I was looking at Subarus because then all of a sudden you start getting ads for Subarus, right? We all have experienced that. Or you'll go on to Facebook and and all of a sudden you're getting something because you went to a website. It's wild, right? We know how to do that. That's all things that you can do if you put certain technology and stuff onto your Facebook page and so forth, so that you can then add it to any of your business. If somebody comes to your website, basically, there's things that you can do on your website so that you can start serving them up ads and so on, right? So anyway, it's bigger than that because I hadn't searched only on my phone. And I had been talking about wanting, that's not the car I want to drive. But anyway, it was in that picture. I'm just telling you, it's kind of magical, and it was a lot of fun. And I haven't really started to do the project that I'm going to work on, that we're going to develop into a really great user-friendly guide on how to get the most out of your ChatGPT for your life and your business. That's something that we're going to work on for the first quarter. So, okay. Anyway, I think that's a good wrap for us today, Matt.
I was sweet pea calling, so I had to mute myself. So
yes, no worries.
What's interesting, that I think it's, I don't know, that whole thing with the microphone too is interesting. Unless you knew that you podcast, so maybe it just threw the podcast thing.
But there's a ton of microphones. How come it's literally the same?
I don't know. That's bizarre.
Brand. It's just not the black one.
I love it.
It's the silver one, which I used to have, actually.
It's freaking awesome.
Anyway, guys, that is our happy hour with WBNL coaching today. So what did we discuss? We talked about some of our, the IPAs that we like, but we really are excited about where we're going to go in the new year. We're committed to continuing to do our podcast. We're going to experiment with some different kind of content. You're going to see us doing some more shorts. Matt just inspired me by sharing what he did with his collaborator, Alfred, to come up with what his next 30 days or so of fun short posts are going to be, that are just crazy. Like you and I could have sat down and over a course of a couple hours, maybe came up with maybe some of that content.
I know.
Right. But it would have taken us a long time, and we never would have had as much, really succinct information and really engaging things that you can do for your social media. And how long did it take?
Yeah, I probably worked on that for maybe 20 minutes for all of that,
because you kept going back and forth and getting it.
And what's so amazing about it is that it's really, it's not like that Alfred wrote. I mean, it's not like I didn't do anything. That's what I think that's the biggest hurdle I had to get over. That, I feel like I'm cheating. I feel like I'm cheating, right? That this, but I'm over it because I'm not cheating, because it was freaking
your idea.
Right. And even still, it wasn't a script a full-on script he gave me. It was topics and guidelines, and here's what will make it better. And you know what I mean? So when I go do these, it's going to be me doing it with the help of my assistant. I mean, it feels really great.
Honestly, I think you just said something that's important, because as we move along with all this technology, it's going to get to the place where people can't tell the difference between an AI generated video. Because right now you can actually create an avatar of yourself and go have it scripted and do that. I don't think I'll ever do that. No. I'm not saying I wouldn't use a AI generated image. I just explained how I would. But I think the key to all of this is what Matt just said. You collaborate, you use it as an assistant, you work together to get the best product, but now it doesn't go do the work for you. You actually have to go do the plan, go do the video, go put the post up, go interact and be the human. If you're going to do the video, you should be in the video, not use a platform that you just give it the information and it creates these videos. I don't like that. I think that we want to keep that personal human connection, and you still have to go do the work. You still have to, put together your diet plan or your exercise plan that your AI assistant can help you with, but you got to go do it. It's not going to go do the work for you.
No,
it's
but
not
here's
taking
the
you
deal.
to the gym and doing the work.
I really feel like just in the last, couple days working through this stuff and doing that video yesterday and doing and then getting the concepts for 30 more shorts, in a very short amount of time that I feel that are completely fleshed out. Now it's just a matter of going to do it. Yeah. It has encouraged me to actually do it. And I'm telling you, I have been fighting this since January, because Jan and I have literally been talking since January. We need to do more, not just, snippets of the podcast, but we need to be getting real, native content out there. And it's taken me this long, but with the help of Chat GTP and Alfred, we're going to get there. And over the next 30 days, you can follow along and see how we're doing with that. But that's
and more to come. We're going to help you if you're afraid of this, or you think you can't do it or whatever. We're going to make it easy, and we will have something in the first quarter that will help you, whether you're in the real estate business or any business. It's going to help you with life, your life plan and your goals and your intentions and so forth, but also ways to use it in your business for marketing, for newsletters, for all that. Okay. We're going to have that.
And here's the deal. We're wrapping up. We were only one beer in, Jan. I think someday we really need to do like a pre.
What do you mean one? I'm like just.
I'm done with it.
I'll take a sip.
So here's the deal. So what we need to do, like a pre-podcast, like hour of maybe having a beer, or maybe even two, and then have drunk history podcast.
I don't know.
I think that'd be fun. Anyway, so here's the deal. I'm going to actually show you, because I did have a second beer planned to drink, which I'm going to open right here and put it in my glass, and then I'll have it. Here's my second choice, because the holidays are right around the corner. It's time for a celebration from Sierra Nevada IPA. You ever had these, Jan?
No.
They've been around forever. Every year they do a celebration IPA from Sierra Nevada. They're always obviously they're different because it's a different batch of, beers. So they taste a little bit different every year. Sometimes they're fantastic. Sometimes stinkers.
Like a session beer?
Don't like them at all. But
and I have to just share this one too, because this is the other one that was in my little variety pack of Hop Valley called Westco. But here's what I love about it. Look at what it kind of reminded me of, the path, like going through the pine cone, another hop, but
I freaking love
it's probably a pine or citra or whatever it is. But it's either a river or a little path, reminding me of the WBNL coaching, a little bit like our logo. If it was
I have to say, way too much head on that beer. What happened here? I don't know. Let me get the rest out of the can. There you go. Yeah, I love that. I think our beer choices, even Sierra Nevada, because it's the freaking Sierra Nevada mountain, we really actually, intentionally or unintentionally, have encompassed the wandering but not lost concept.
Well, you know what? Now that I look at this, they all have that little path going through them. Even the big smile.
Oh yeah, you're right. It does. Well, that's really cool.
9.2%.
You said those are from Oregon?
That's going back in.
You said Oregon those are from?
Eugene, Oregon.
Eugene, okay.
Hop Valley.
I'm going to have to talk to my cousin.
Hop Valley Brewing Company.
My cousin lives in Grants Pass. I'm going to have her take a little drive to Eugene and get us some smile.
I think you could probably get that.
Well, no, it'd be more fun to get it from your cousin.
Oh, yeah, that's true. All right, everybody. Well, you know the deal. Until next time. What's our closing statement?
I think you should align, connect, and prosper. But really... Well, not yet. You should go to the Wigwam Village in Kentucky near Mammoth Cave and be forever wandering but not lost.
There it is. Bye now.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, that too. I just ate something because I haven't eaten anything. I haven't eaten
much. I've had some food, but not probably as much as I probably. Well, no. But wait, let me show you this camera thing because I'm really fixated with this. So if I walk in, watch it, follow me.